what do we emphasize, for instance, when we are talking about education for girls? Are there still those who are disadvantaged within our populations? Are there communities that still are not taking their girls to school? Or when there is competition, they would prefer taking the boys and rather than the girls. Then we are talking also of what we are calling the demographic dividend, which I have just explained, the economic benefit. So when we are making reference to this assembly decision, we are talking of 4 pillars that the continent has proposed as guiding pillars for the implementation of the demographic dividend. And these pillars are in education, health, this one is employment and governance. These are critical issues, youth issues that the continent seeks to foreground this year. And that's why we are talking of harnessing the demographic dividend through investments in youth. So what I'm talking about is the demographic dividend roadmap from the continent. I will be sharing this document later. When we move to where the rubber meets the road, the skills development policies from a continental perspective. I'll first mention the technical vocational education strategy, the TVET strategy, which provides a framework, strategic framework for the development of national policies to address the challenges in TVET, technical vocational education, and technical and vocational education and training. The focus here on this continental strategy lies in a paradigm shift that with a focus on skills development for employment. The focus is on job creation, which we are discussing here. Then we have the science, technology, and innovation strategy for Africa, STISA, which aims at accelerating Africa's transition into an innovation-led, knowledge-based economy, where there is no innovation, where education systems are a challenge, then there will be general challenge in as far as development of innovation and growth is concerned. It also emphasizes on a multi-sectoral approach of collaboration. Industry, education institutions, and also governments to ensure that there is a broad spectrum of involvement across the board in all this. Enterprises particularly play a key role, a critical role in the implementation of the science, technology, and innovation strategy for Africa that I am mentioning. Then the next one is the Continental Education Strategy for Africa, which we call CESA 1625. It underscores need for education that reflects on African values, supports African aspirations, and nurtures requisite attitudes and skills for a sustainable development. We are talking of a holistic education. It also has several governing pillars. I shared this document and it will also be available. At the core is quality and relevance. And then the overall anchor from a continental perspective is Agenda 2063, which talks of a well-educated citizens and skills revolution underpinned by science, technology, and innovation. So when we talk about science, technology, and innovation, all of these are underpinned within Agenda 2063, which is the continental blueprint of development. We also know of the Sustainable Development Goals, and particularly Goal 4, among the others that have a critical focus on education. Next, I'll move to the skills and innovation ecosystem. I'm happy that my colleague mentioned something that I would say was foregrounding what I'm going to present in the earlier presentation by Jerome. I'll start by mentioning a skills ecosystem. And a skill ecosystem is a network of workforce, skills, and knowledge in an industry or a region. So when we are talking about a skills ecosystem, we are looking at, for instance, the education that is being provided, the learning pathways, quality assurance. Does the education that is given offer or consider the labor market needs? What is the training ecosystem that exists? How is the curriculum impacted, for instance, by the industry to offer the training that is responsive at all levels and that individuals and employers values? The training delivery need not necessarily be the formal training. There can be several pathways, formal, informal, and even non-formal pathways. But how do this ecosystem, the skills ecosystem, how is it in a particular country? The skills ecosystem in a country can be brought or can also be superimposed to the skills ecosystem in a particular industry. For instance, when we talk about the creatives industry that was mentioned earlier, what is the skill ecosystem within the creatives industry? When you want to develop, for instance, a movie, what are the skills, requisite skills within that movie industry? The camera person, the person who is focusing the camera, or the person who is directing the movie, what are the requisite skills? So when all this is analyzed, then that becomes the skills ecosystem within that movie industry. And how do we develop that skills ecosystem in the movie industry? If we take the creatives as an example, where are the directors trained? Where are the cameramen trained? So that at the end of it all, you will get the oomph. The product that was mentioned is gotten, for instance, in Nollywood in Nigeria. That makes the difference because the skills ecosystem there may not be the same as the skill ecosystems in the creative industry here in Kenya. What can we do? What policies are necessary in order to make sure that the skills ecosystem, specifically in specific industry, like the creatives industry, when you go to the manufacturing industry, that is different. When you go to, for instance, fashion industry, it will be a different skills ecosystem. All of them are underpinned by solid policy grounding and environment that will help nurture the skills ecosystem. Then next, I move to the other very, very important thing. For a skills system to thrive, what is the policy setting that will enable that skill ecosystem to thrive? What are the employment policies, for instance, for those who are working in that particular industry or that particular ecosystem? How competitive is it? Does it support a high skills strategy within that skill ecosystem? What are the wage levels? What are the capacities for innovation that the policies that are set assist in? Then next, and equally very important, is how is the private sector involved? How do they see their comparative and competitive advantage in getting involved within the skills ecosystem? successive innovation systems are typically characterized by an active knowledge economy comprising academic, public sector, and business. We expect academia here, public sector and business. Public sector, mainly the government, where policy setting is concerned, and then the private sector firms to drive the engine of innovation. The requirements of the labor market. And then we are saying that high skills and innovation ecosystem exists at this level where there is seamless partnership amongst these key players. There have been examples that have been given. I remember Jerome mentioning the Silicon Valley in the US. I believe the Silicon Valley has this high skills and innovation ecosystem because of the nexus of training provision, the policies, and the funds that are there to assist make this ecosystem work. Here in Kenya, there has been examples. I don't know because I have not read the news much lately. There was the talk of Konza Techno City. I may need to be advised on where we are as a country, where that is concerned. Our own Kenyan Silicon Valley. It was formulated on this high skills innovation ecosystem. I want to, as I head towards conclusion, there are other examples in the country. The Chandaria Business Innovation and Incubation Center. We have what is referred to as the Smart Tunisia. You can see what they are all about when we are talking about ecosystems across the continent. We have others in other parts, innovation ecosystems. In South Africa, Technology Innovation Agency, they all are complete skills and innovation ecosystems in the continent that are doing wonderful things. In Nigeria, we have the Center for Technology Innovation, among others. There is also, I don't know if you could assist me in the video. Fab Labs here in Kenya. The video that is about to play is courtesy of VOA, Voice of America. On one innovation ecosystem here in Kenya that was being profiled. I don't know whether you have it.
Yes, you have it.
And then I conclude. Sorry if it is taking a bit of time. It's just 3 minutes. So we will not.
This is the 3D MakerBot printer in action. The machine is a scanner that prints a three-dimensional object of almost any shape from electronic data using plastic as its raw material. This drastically reduces the costs. 21-year-old Alois Butura is a first-year electronic engineering student at the University of Nairobi. In March, he came up with the idea of a vein finder, a device which helps doctors administer intravenous needles to tiny infants. Today, he is perfecting his design, currently in the prototype phase. This 3D printer can produce 100 such devices in a day.
The paper was actually a solution that was actually wanted to, that the School of Health and the School of Engineering partnered with, so as to reduce the inability of healthcare people to find veins in babies, and also for it to be actually economical and suited to Kenya.
Affordable production is the hallmark of this fabrication laboratory. Dr. Kamau Kashiki heads the Fab Lab here. Established 5 years ago, its initial aim was to make almost anything, but new innovations and expertise have changed that aim to make machines that make almost anything. There are some 400 Fab Labs worldwide, and 2 are in Kenya. Dr. Gashigi believes they will promote the creation of an atmosphere and culture of innovation.
The maker movement will generate a new kind of producers, so to speak, and a lot of young people are extremely interested. Young people nowadays just have a knack for technology.
And this maker movement is gradually beginning to take shape. 2 years ago, Peter Buri won the People's Choice Award at the NASA Space Applications Challenge for his bit harvester invention, made possible by 3D technology.
Bit harvester is an electronic device that's designed to monitor remotely using SMS wind turbines and solar installations. So you can see if they're operating okay or they're not operating okay, and you can take the necessary measures to see how to correct the problem.
In a few months, a third Kenyan Fab Lab is scheduled to open on the outskirts of Nairobi. It is expected to focus on medical and energy-based equipment, taking this manufacturing revolution to another level. Lenny Ruvaga for VOA News, Nairobi, Kenya.
Let's continue as I conclude. The invention was a vein finder, prototype for vein finder, used in medical, in the medicine industry. What I'm saying here is that there are already good things that are being done across the board. Back to the slide, yes, as I conclude. When we are talking about the skills ecosystem and the innovation ecosystem, I want to mention a few of the, next slide. Yes, some initiatives of the African Union Commission with regards to youth development. We have the African Union Youth Volunteer Corps. I'll not go into the details, but these are volunteers across the continent who are posted in different countries, not from their countries to serve. Then we have the Comprehensive African Agricultural Development Program, CADEP. We have the Infrastructure Program and Skills Initiative for Africa, which is a partnership with the German government to impart skills. We have started with 5 pilot countries, of which Kenya is one of them, and the African-German Youth Initiative. Now, my final slide is, what is our way forward? Making education and training count, and especially for education and training to respond to labor market needs, to enhance skills development across all learning pathways, and then we expand the existing opportunities for young people. For instance, through proposed training services, recognition and portability of skills. For instance, the person who fixed this, the electrician or the person who does air conditioning and refrigeration, should be able to have that qualification certified in Kenya, but recognized in Rwanda, recognized in Algeria, so that this person can work all over the continent. Then support systems for entrepreneurship development. Thank you very much for